And we're back here at the Overwatch Beat Invitational Season 5 final match of the night to decide who is going to be going up against LNL in the upper bracket final. It's going to be Toronto Esports taking on Phase 2, where Phase 2, they still really don't know what they're about, but they don't have an icon, but they were good enough to defeat NRG earlier today, so there definitely is potential.
You know, I can't just get over the fact that, like, at this contenders level, you know, people with paint logos are beating, like, academy teams. That just, it's just, I can't find a real, you know, physical sport equivalent of that really happening. It's just, I just love the Phase 2 logo, and suddenly I'm a huge fan of this team, so looking forward to what they can bring out versus this Toronto squad.
It is always entertaining, but also just evidence that, look, the field is wide open. If you can get together a good team, you can fight the teams that have better support. Yeah, it's not quite as glamorous of a road, but I'll tell you what, you upset one NRG too many, and guess what? You're going to go to an academy team yourself, so the path is open. You just got to find it. But Reinforce, we're not going to be wasting any time. We're going straight into Legion.
Yeah, we are. I just wanted to say also that it's a pretty bad time to represent an academy team, because a lot of these teams are, you know, mixing up their rosters, and the team synergy isn't really there yet. And so this is not by any means the peak potential of the academy teams. And I mean, surely neither for Phase 2 either, but you know, if you're representing an academy team, it's going to be a tough road until you can really get into the groove with your new squad and your new team members.
No doubt about it. But we're going to take a look here at the rosters as they set up here. And this could be an interesting setup where I know that this has become a favorite, certainly at the very least, in ladder competition. But we are seeing, nope, never mind. Wub was showing signs of Reaper and not going to be a thing. Although I would be curious to see the Soldier, just because I do think Soldier, untapped potential. And nope, just, you're going to full goats. Why? Why have you done this to me?
You know, I hate to see it, but Goats is actually pretty good at Garden due to the point working as it is. But Toronto Esports, they're rolling out with a fairly good anti-Goat composition, asking on the Hanzo and Nero on the Pharah. And just starting out with this composition as well, you're going to build a lot of ultimate charge early on. And we're seeing some hesitation coming out from Phase 2 in this scenario. They're going to wait until a point opens up. There's no need to be on the point taking damage until you can actually start capping it. And so now, when the point unlocks, this is the go time for Phase 2.
Well, they got away from the concussive blast, but the problem here is that you take a look at Nero, 66%, already close to a barrage. He's been doing a lot of damage. Oh, man, Brigida getting so far out of it for the Phase 2 setup, but Sinker able to take ball advantage. Somehow got both Mercy and Hanzo there, and Phase 2 making the GOAT setup work to their advantage. Nero, yeah, he's going to have a barrage, but they've already lost the point.
Yeah, and there's no real huge threat on the side of Phase 2 here, because they don't have a biotic grenade to deal with, and there's no Discord orb on the side of Toronto Esports, so you have a lot of opportunity to just run down the enemy team here and try to find picks, and they do just that, and they start capping this point. Here comes the Dragon Strike, though.
Heavy pressure on the Sinker, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Nero coming back for the barrage, takes down D.Va, the defensive matrix, off cooldown there. D.Va out of it. Nero backing up a bit, getting away from the Coalescence. Coalescence done. Moving back in, and Pharah could be way more of a brawler now with those quicker rockets, but still, gotta respect the Brigida, have to respect the Reinhardt. Nero gonna go on the outskirts, and down to D.Va, Toronto, they don't have the meatiness they need here.
Yeah, and I understand what Toronto are trying to do. They're playing the Lucio to speed boost away from the GOAT composition. But again, you don't have that Discord orb to deal with the tanks, and you don't have a biotic grenade to really make them vulnerable. And so really, Phase 2 are just enjoying their time trying to get picks here.
Meanwhile, Toronto still looking for anything. Nero could be looking for the boop off here, but the grab takes down 2 immediately. The fall through is there, and you know, Nero, you've been doing plenty of damage, but has it resulted in pickoffs? The answer is no, and for 70%, I do think this is the time to swap.
Yeah, this might be the time to swap, but you can't go Goats because you won't build any ultimates far enough. Swimmer's going to have the sound barrier as well, so they're just going to call an all-in and a Hail Mary play for everything to work out this fight. Otherwise, Phase 2 are going to cap it out.
Well, Nero going around the outskirts here, looking for a little bit of damage. If this is the time to get a big barrage, he's certainly going to be able to get it midway through the fight. 93%, 87% on the ult charge, looking very thick. Barrier up here from the defenders. Not able to get anything from it here just yet. Barrage up for Nero. Now must be the time. Barrier out from the attacker. Self-destruct in. Here comes a barrage right to the back. And oh no! Winston knocks people away out of the barrage. It's a bit of a misplay there. And as a result, Toronto not getting the clean engage they thought they were going to get.
And it's just a case of too much at the same time. You're trying to use all your ultimates you built up in your ultimate economy, and they just happen to negate and counter each other, as you said. Decod using the Primal Rage knocks them away from the barrage and just leaves the DPS of Toronto Esports vulnerable, of course, to getting picked off, and they get no value whatsoever. So you're down 1-0. This Phase 2 paint logo team that were so scary against NRG previously today.
Coached by Michael.
Coached by Michael, the key, the hero.
Yes, let's not forget the universe that we're living in right now, where I do believe the entirety of the information is needed to truly comprehend on the next level. That's all I'm saying.
Well, now Toronto Esports, they have an opportunity to redeem themselves. We're going to get goats from both teams that we've seen on Night Market so far. And knowing Decod, he's going to go on the aggressive.
Decod moving on forward. Toronto, of course, would love to change momentum here, but highly aggressive coming in is Phase 2, taking the fight to Toronto here. Now backing up a bit. Reinhardt shield gonna get broken. Duplicate hit with the Discord orb, but healed back up more. Able to save Reinhardt there. Duplicate was very close to falling. Shield, though, still in rough shape. Ends up getting knocked down. Decod moving forward. Toronto since Blood Noir, but they lost Narrow on the engage. Now without a Brigida, it's going to quickly flip back the other way. Decod has a Shatter. Do you burn it here down to Brig? Do you go for it? No, he's taken down.
And now you just push up and you clean this fight up. And I mean, that's exactly what you want to do with this Ana composition as well. You're biding your time, waiting for any opportunity to get a good engagement opportunity. You have the Biotic Grenade and the Sleep Dart from Moore on this playing this Ana, and you get just that, and you find a pick, and that will be enough for this Phase 2 squad to actually have a good engagement. And you know, they find a pick, initiate on it, and they win the fight.
Well, Sinker is going to have a good vantage point of everyone dropping on in. Doesn't use a grab here just yet, of course. Doesn't want to feed it to the Diva. You see the defensive matrix out there, and neither team wanting to get grabbed here. Both grabs in play. Don't want to be that guy. Earth Shatter coming from Decod. Not going to get much of anything. Wub, though, out of the fight. So you're going to see Sinker in trouble. Both teams stuck in the grab, but between the two, Toronto in a better spot here. They get the most out of the grab trade-off. They're going to bring it back forward, and they're going to get their first control of this point.
And it's very patient play as well. You have a lot of ultimates to use in that very risky engagement. It was a bit drawn out, but with patience, that means you have a lot of more ultimates coming up for this next fight as well. We're going to see Kraken Lacken still having the self-destruct that is disposal as well as a sound barrier. So it's going to be hard for Phase 2 to win this fight.
Phase 2 going to move on in. Rally to me, says Wub. And they're going in hard. Early nano boost on the duplicate. Wub almost falls, but heals right back up more. On point with the bio nades. Kevin, nifty mechs here. Wub going on back. Kevin able to get back into the mech. And now you see nice Shatter coming in. Wub with the cleanup duplicate. Setting the way, and now if there's no Ryan, there's really nothing they can do. You just see Wub and Duplicate getting everything they want and more. Wub just shaking his mouse. That's good stuff for Phase 2.
But again, it's so well played from Phase 2 here because they recognize that they have the better sustain. They're playing versus the Zenyatta with a Discord Orb, and that means that eventually you are going to get out-spammed or out-poked. So playing with the Moira, the Ana, sorry, they recognize that they have to play a bit more aggressive, and Duplicate, no fear, just goes in, grabs all the space. That's been a key so far for this Phase 2 team.
Phase 2 going on back. They drop a grab of their own. Sinker says, let's end this right here, right now. Dino says, no way. Drops the Transcend, but Swimmer falls. It's still too much damage in Phase 2. They move in. The Transcend's gone. Dino on the floor. And Phase 2 on their way of taking Map 1 away from Toronto Esports. Who needs to be an Academy team anyways? When you got an MS Paint logo, you got Coach Michael. Swimmer, though, playing a lot of time up in the corner. Oh, man, when Lucio gets up in there, I need to Exterminator get him on down.
I mean, you and me, CP, we thrived in the days of Ghost of Gamers Cups and, you know, a bit of a lesser professional scene, and this is what it was all about.
Yes.
Paint logo teams just taking down well-known opponents. And I mean, credit to Coach Michael and this entire lineup for bringing us one hell of a show so far today. I'm very impressed, especially by Duplicate on the Reinhardt as well. He recognizes that he has an on his side, and he just fearlessly charges in. And I'm so proud of him for like playing so well on this Reinhardt so far. Yeah, I'm just so impressed by this squad, honestly.
Yeah, they're playing the GOAT style composition super well. You see the supports and tanks in full sync, and they are truly the destroyer of worlds right now when it comes to dealing with the teams that on paper have way more support. You don't need support when you just, like I said, you have the MS Paint logo fueling you. This reminds me of back in the day when you had all those TF2 royalty teams in early gameplay suddenly just getting whopped by IDDQD, where it's like, what is this weird team with the Doom logo? What is this?
Yeah.
How are they beating everyone? How is this a thing?
And if you're representing Toronto Esports as well, you know that this is a team you should beat. And so going down 1-0 already, I'm not going to say that they're choking, but they are recognizing the fact that they need to climb their way back into this series. And, you know, momentum is a serious thing when it comes to professional games. And, you know, we're going to see if they can rise to the pressure or if they're just going to fall to Phase 2's dominance so far.
I mean, really, the scary thing about Phase 2 is that if they want to hit maximum meme territory, just make an announcement for tomorrow. It's like, by the way, guys, we're evolving to Phase 3. It's just like, I don't even know what that's going to look like.
What does Phase 2 even mean, CP?
Okay,
Has
so
Michael explained what the reason is?
Yes. The reason is that a lot of these players were invited to early stage OWL tryouts, but the way that a lot of team structures it said, okay, here's Phase 1 of the tryouts. Well, here's Phase 2, and these players on a whole were not invited to Phase 2. So I guess it's basically an in-joke meme about OWL tryouts and people that were not invited to the second phase.
I mean, I get it, but it's not the best team name, honestly. Who's going to get that? Twitch chat will get it now because you just explained it. But
yes.
I mean, okay.
Well, look,
look,
let me act as an impromptu representative for Coach Michael, where Coach Michael prides most of his gameplay expertise on the actual gameplay. Unfortunately, he's not very good at self-branding, nor branding organizations he is involved with.
I mean,
because he's just dedicated so much of a 900 IQ brain to the game of Overwatch.
Are you a fan of symbolism, CP? Would you say you are?
You know, why not? In good doses, I would say yes.
In good doses, yeah. You know, you like some subliminal messages, and Phase 2 is certainly a team name in that nature.
Give me that government mind control program. Let's go.
Oh, yikes. We're going to Dorado, so we have to deal with the power company once again, and mind control becomes the topic. It's a yikes. It's a yikes, CP.
Keep your light bulbs on. Do not upgrade the LEDs. It's fine. All power on all the time. It's great. Lumerico serving the community for as long as you can remember.
Man, you're talking like you've already fallen for it. You're talking like you've fallen for the mind control already. This is the sellout we needed before, CP.
Well, the subliminal messaging just took a while to take effect. I don't know what you want from me. But I will say, as a skillful redirect, let's take a look at something a little bit more relevant to the game, which is the game. And the defense here, it's going to be a double hit scan defense from Phase 2.
Yeah, and a bit interesting because double sniper compositions are definitely a thing on defense. We've seen a lot of teams running Hanzo and Widowmaker, but instead, they're opting for this Soldier 76. I know that Wub is a good soldier. And perhaps with these new changes coming into play, a bit more accuracy on the side of Soldier can perhaps deal a lot of damage and making a big difference in this composition.
Well, the other thing, too, is that it does give a second long-range threat here where you can't just go, okay, deal with the Widow. You do have to give a good deal of respect to the Soldier because he will simply tear you down from afar if being played well. We'll see if Wub is up to the challenge now, but certainly keeping Nero a little bit further back than he would like.
Yeah, keeping them back. They want to build some ultimates here and allow Sinker to get some space onto this Widowmaker, and LNL just poking away, trying to get some room for those ultimates themselves. You're going to get pushed back, actually, and it is much due to this Soldier coming out of Wub.
The interesting thing here is that even though there's been no pickoffs here so far, Phase 2 has been buying a lot of time. We're already down a minute in the courtyard. There hasn't been significant poke coming in. Oh, that's one way you get it open, though. Asking, find Sinker, and now Wob gonna have to worry about it. Unchecked, Unchained Widow, but Genji says you don't have to worry about that anymore. Go back to spawn.
And they actually nano-boosted
pickoffs.
duplicate as well, but it gets Slept Dart, so the entire win condition of Phase 2 here is really just failing them. And it's all in the hands of LNL to capitalize on this. Nero's gonna go aggressive on the Genji, and as well, Decode backing him up.
Oh, Asking continues with the pickoffs, but there is the respawns coming back in. Wob able to deal with Decod, and it's just the power of Soldier here where you're laying down so much damage, it's hard to easily go forward, because if you do, you might get picked off, and the defense has actually been able to bring this back.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I thought that they were going to go down. You know, they nano-boosted duplicate, and he got Slept Darted, and it seemed like it was all in the hands of LNL, but they don't execute the dives perfectly. They have another chance now, though, with the Nanoblade coming out.
Nanoblade going to be dealing with Wob and more, and Insomniac making a triple in the back. Nero showing absolutely no mercy on that blade. Gets 4 before it's all said and done. Open the gates. Toronto heading into point B.
Yep, they are heading into point B here now, of course, and I think that they are pretty happy with that. They invested a few ultimates, but now they can set up with Asking on this Widowmaker, an extremely individually skilled player that is known for popping off back in European contenders, and maybe he can do here so as well and keep the momentum for this Toronto squad.
See just how it works. Nero still being right up in the face here. Pretty brave, especially with the Winston and Soldier there, but Nero, again, just looking to get the ult up. Sinker, though, finds Asking. Man advantage here to the defense. Nero wounded, needing to back out. Is going to get away successfully, but with the pressure Sinker's putting in, it's going to be very hard for Toronto. But hey, Nero goes back in, seizes the opportunity, and immediately dispatches Sinker.
Yes, and now it's all in the hands, really, of this Toronto Resource squad. You have a lot of pressure on the point, and really from this point on, Phase 2, they can't just do much more than just stall out here. They will come back into the next fight, though, with a Nanovisor. But it is up to Asking, really, to try to shut that down. Playing the Widowmaker, you are going to outrange and outsnipe Soldier 76.
Yeah, and I mean, the upside here is that Widow doesn't have to worry as much about ult economy. If you get an early pickoff, suddenly the entire calculus of the game changes to a different dynamic. But it's all up to Asking here. Knows where the Winston is, doesn't want to care about as much about that. Wob comes in with the Nano Boost, Nano Visor in full effect, finds Swimmer. Asking can't really challenge it. Duplicate gonna slam the door. And that was actually pretty efficient coming up from Phase 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I mentioned Asking on the Widowmaker, having to be the difference maker. But instead, Duplicate shut him down on the Winston, and that just allowed Whoop to roam free with his Nanovisor and managed to secure the fight just using 2 ultimates. Going to be very helpful as they go into the next one with Sound Barrier and double tank ultimates.
One problem here, of course, is going to be the Nanoblade coming on in. Wub doesn't have many options for it. Winston diving on over. Wub can't sprint fast enough away. Immediately down. And they haven't even had to invest anything here just yet. Toronto, again, applying heavy pressure. Sinker looking for any form of pick-off to set the other way. Hasn't found it here just yet. Kevin gonna fall. Nice little dash in from Nero. And Toronto might get this without investing much at all. And they do.
Yeah, they don't get that much value. And meanwhile, Toronto Esports, they now have a decent shot at completing point C here with good time and making themselves ready for round 2 in many ways. I think you're looking forward at this point. You have the Nanoblade up, so you're feeling confident going into the next fight. But Phase 2, they're going to opt for this double hit scan composition rather than swapping to a Brigitte. And, you know, I'm questioning it, but they can make it work.
Yeah, again, it's that sort of honor bet. It's like, no one run Brigitte. It's fine. Nero gets stunned immediately on the Nanoblade, but more durable. Sinker goes, but I've hit you so much. More, though, able to finish it off. They dealt the Nanoblade pretty well in the end. That could be deemed a success story, I would say. And the defense able to buy some serious time here, but they're going to need to do a little bit more because it's still been a quick attack by the offense.
Yeah, it is a back and forth, and Decode just dedicates another Primal Rage to this. Dino is going to push up with all that space created. And it looks like it's a very good fight for Toronto Esports after all. But now you're going into the last fight, and the defensive squad has a good opportunity to hold right here, having the Nano Boost, of course, in this very narrow choke.
Dino was going for the Bio Nade, was eaten by D.Va there. Toronto. Sound Barrier is up, but it wasn't quite the engage you're looking for. They lose Decod immediately and more. Again, in the back. Nano Boost going to be up here from Dino. Dino doesn't waste any time. Drops in immediately, looking for Crackalacken. Kevin going to throw the self-destruct in. It's back and forth, and this still favors the defense quite heavily.
Yeah, it still does, and Wub is just going ham on this Doomfist as well, trying to find pick after pick, and Toronto Esports just didn't manage to deal with all of that pace all at once. So we're going to see them go back to spawn. Decode perhaps swapping up. Yeah, he's going to swap away from that Hammond back to the Winston. Asking, opting for the McCree over any kind of Brigitte. And this is what we saw from Toronto Esports earlier in the day as well. They didn't like to run the Brigitte versus these dive compositions, and that might bite them in the end.
I mean, it almost feels like we have a gentleman's agreement, at least for this map. Kevin, though, going to immediately get an Askeg's Grill. No space at all for the McCree, and just easily doing damage to the backline. And those 2 late pickoffs, this fight all but done. Narrow, okay, goes for the blade and Vessel up, but here's the problem. You've gotten a few pickoffs, but you lost so many people early on that can you convert this into a take? It's unlikely.
Yeah, the spawns are just coming back in full force for phase 2, and with a man advantage, you should be able to clean this up. No one dies from the self-destruct, and after this is just clean up at this point for phase 2. But Wub goes down.
The thing for Wub's able to get pick out before falling, and if there's any point where Doom is like, you know what, I'm down for that trade in life, it's this one right here where it's just so important for the defense to maintain trades and keep a number advantage. So 30 seconds left in phase 2, looking quite good here so far.
Yeah, and you know that probably that Toronto Esports are just going to have this Nano Boost to rely on. Not really close enough for that Primal Rage, and it's just a matter of, do you want to engage here and capitalize on the fact that Toronto doesn't have any ultimates up, or do you want to sit back? They're going to go in.
They drop the Nano on the Kevin. Kevin being the Vanguard. Gonna build up a self-destruct all the way. Wub dies without getting anything. Not quite the Doomfist trade life you're looking for. Kevin, gonna have to back on up, but self-destruct can be so good here in overtime situations where you gotta stand the payload, but the self-destruct can force her hand. Self-destruct from Kevin. Gonna go up. He is hit with the hack on the way forward. Can't remech here just yet. Deadeye in progress by Sinker. Good thing! Takes down 4. Sinker says, check your watches. It's high noon. And that is enough. Look at the question marks. They can't believe it. Yeah. They don't understand. They don't understand at all.
You can't see the chat, but there's just question marks all around. That was just an amazing clutch play. And, well, that's one way. That's one way to win an overtime fight.
So the explanation there, of course, is that Sinker got them from underneath the cards. But it's a rare situation when you have such a big play, especially from an alt like Deadeye, that normally doesn't get that much in the way of value, that catches players with thousands of hours of Overwatch played off guard to the point where they're just like, question mark? We had 2 question marks. It was Wub and Narrow. Again, you guys can't see it, but we can. And you know what? Global chat is fair game. It is not protected speech here, but that's character to me.
I was almost making a Maverick reference right there, because that was so surprising, and you know, the most needed time, you come out clutch with a huge Deadeye. Certainly wasn't expected. So yeah, that was all around amazing play, and that might give them an opportunity to win this Dorado map as well.
I will say, by the way, this is it's a funny little story here, and I purposely did this because I just found it entertaining. When I used to run production for these tournaments, I knew I always had the ability to turn off chat. I never did. I actually enjoyed the chaos of players chatting, where, I mean, they were aware that it showed up on stream, but we got some fun moments, is all I'll say about that. Although, one particularly bad moment when local chat was on, and I'm not going to go back there, but it was pretty rough.
Let's not talk about general chat either. They certainly have their moments of bringing profanity into broadcasts, but...
Oh, there was one that was real bad. We're not going to revisit it. It was actually Beat Season 1 or 2. I'm not even sure. But either way, Phase 2. Here on the attack, Wub on the Genji Sinker to the Widow once more. We'll see just how it works out.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a lot of Orisa comps so far on Dorado today, but it is very viable. Certainly something we saw at the later stages of the Overwatch League. And playing a Junkrat, Nero has to get a lot of value. Try to build that tire up in time, and it's just a matter of building time for asking as well to find picks on this Widowmaker. But Wub in the backline already.
Club in the back, moving on over. Mercy in danger, not gonna be taken down though. Dino, the support in the back line. Frag Yada, D-Dino himself, and that is quite good for Toronto.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter if you kill asking when Dino is just gonna frag out on a Zenyatta, so, you know, some shades of Jonak as we're spectating this defense hold. And but I liked what I saw though from this phase 2 squad. They were trying to get on some flanks and try to collapse onto the defensive team, so they certainly know what they're doing, and we'll have to see how they're going to navigate around this Orisa shield going to next round.
Do not be fooled. Toronto Esports knows exactly what they are doing. Nero, gonna go to back here, holding on to the tire. Really good self-control where he doesn't pop at the beginning, letting the fight develop, maximum value for the stall, but now the time has come, but the time might have been a little bit too late. He might have waited too long. 3 of his team members already down. You got the Lucio, but that's not gonna be enough.
No, it's not going to be enough, and it's a very clean and quick engage coming out from phase 2 there. They just put the nano boost onto Duplicate, and he finds the backline of Toronto Esports, and that's going to secure point A. No need to recontest. Or maybe they're actually going for it.
Ooh, risky. I mean, the upside here is that maybe just drain out the ultimates. Wub certainly feels the need to pull out the blade, picks up asking immediately, but they're investing ultimates. Oh, the self-destruct gets 2! They can turn this around! Swimmer on the Valkyrie, healing up the team all the while. Dino transcends down, but that just means he has more time to DPS. Hammond spinning to win it. Decon going around and around the payload. Dino, though, is down. The dive-in coming back into phase 2. It is a brawl back on the point, and Kevin making space his own right now. We'll see, though. The Hammond is still good in there. No one's actually shooting Decon.
This is still a very winnable fight for both teams, because we have respawners coming in, although the backline falls for phase 2, and that would probably be the end of it. So it's a good job, you know, recognizing Toronto Esports that they have a lot of ultimates up and they can go for a recontest. We said it was risky, and that certainly was risky, but when you have that many ultimates, you kind of feel secure in your capabilities to get away with it, and you know, it pays dividends, taking a big risk.
Definitely some money going the way of Toronto here. Sinker falling already, just a total kick to the gut in terms of momentum, and I got Decon setting up for this minefield. Uh-oh. Are you still there?
I am still here, CP.
All right. My game lagged because I was like, for a second, I thought I was gone, but you know, we're still all in here. Decon holding on to the minefield, waiting for his opportunity, and Toronto just biding their time. Here we go. Minefield gonna come out. Decon diving on in, waiting for the opportunity. Yeah, but Minefield not really on the other team. He does use it to deny space to the upper right. Gonna get slept midway through. Wub not really close to the Dragon Blade here yet. Sinker, though, gets asking, and that's a big start to the fight.
Yeah, and they're trying to build this Nano Blade in time. It's a bit passive play coming out. They're going to opt for the Nano Boost onto Duplicate instead. But it is a bit risky. It is going to be the very last fight, and this could mean the difference to the series.
Phase 2 would love to keep Toronto going forward. Of course, if they could just finish out the map, they would take the map outright. Wub gets pushed back by Mercy, has to pull out the blade, diving on in, able to finish off Swimmer, but the blade probably could have been saved in a more ideal circumstance. And meanwhile, the ideal Decon swinging around. Bottle wall delay the first time around, but not going to do it as much here. But still, only 2.5 minutes left per second. That's not much time for phase 2.
Yeah, and it looked like a very awkward fight actually for phase 2. Because they were very close to all of their ultimates going into that fight, but they just couldn't get them in time. So they had to use the Nano Boost onto Duplicate, and they couldn't save it for Wub's Blade. But they still walk away with the victory on that fight, and we're heading into point B as we're experiencing a bit of a pause.
You know, that just makes me happy because that means it wasn't just me that was lagging. It was literally all of Discord. So the reason for the pause that everyone's saying Discord is lagging, it was both teams commenting on the Discord lag and also the cast because it lagged for me in the middle of it. So you know what? Yeah, I have no further point aside from Discord is not perfect, apparently.
They're not perfect, but, you know, I'm very happy we have Discord in this world.
You don't want to go back to Skype? You want to go back to good old Microsoft days?
Look, I don't want to flame potential companies on air, but
okay,
yeah,
that's
sure.
fair. I would. You're completely. I'm sorry. I take everything back. I will gladly sell out for the right amount of money, and or gigs. It's fine.
This
But
good
also
overall.
phase 2, keeping the payload moving forward. Uh-oh. The Discord lag has returned. I'm not sure
Well,
what...
do you want me to take away
Okay.
with it? As we're seeing this engage
Yes!
coming in from Decode's Hamster. Fantastic play
I-
coming out on the side of Toronto Esports. Look at me. I'm the play-by-play caster now, CP.
I'm just laughing as Decod has taken the fight to Toronto.
Why is
Now-
he playing Hammond anyway? It's not... You would prefer a Winston, but he has the minefield up, and so maybe he can get a lot of value. It is a very wide open area, of course, but if you can place it correctly, high up in the air, you know, you can find some bad positioning on the side of phase 2, perhaps.
He got Panker disease, but he's going to move in, drops the minefield, Duplicate down, Sombra just barely getting away. But Duplicate out of the fight early. There's not much of a path here for phase 2. Michael did not have a game plan for this one. The random Hammond has sown chaos into the field.
It is very good at disrupting, you have to say, but when you're playing against a Sombra that Sinker is running right now, you're very exposed to being hacked and thus just being caught off guard, and so it's not the most optimal pick, I'd like to say, but Decod, from playing versus him a lot in scrims, this is a hero that he likes to play and certainly showing a lot of proficiency on, so maybe it will make a difference.
Oh! Wob got hacked right as he was going for the Nano Blade, completely denied. Nano Boost is going to be down. It's going to have to be simply a Raw Blade. No juice involved. Hey, still finds Dino. Good for one. Looking for the Diva on top, but it's only going to be a little bit of damage. Dino gets rezzed, and it's like Wob did nothing at all. As Toronto continues to hold here. Phase 2, running out of plans, running out of time as Dino just exerts his will on the game.
Yep, and we have a series on our hands, CP, tied up 1-1 after wrapping up Lijiang Tower and Dorado. So this could be a very good matchup to remember moving forward. So essentially, it is a best of 3.
Oh, here we go.
After Sinker's huge Deadeye.
I want to see this again. Looking, waiting. So much patience. Oh! That was amazing.
Unlucky.
Dino is on full tilt in chat right now. Imagine the word okay, except with 4 O's and 4 K's. That is the level of tilt that Dino is on. He's actually been tilted back to the prehistoric era. That's where he's at right now.
Hey, you won the map, you know? You won the map despite that McCree play. I'm not going to say it was amazing or awful. It just happened. It was destiny. And suddenly, you know, there's no need to be upset, Dino. You won the map. Just be happy, okay? We're moving on to the next map.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you just gotta accept that it was 12 o'clock, and at 12 o'clock things happen, like everyone getting shot through a payload. It happens.
As always,
but you won the map. It's fine.
Yep, it's completely fine. And you know, you don't want to get a player like Dino on tilt, because earlier in the day he showed that he's so good on this Ana and this Zenyatta. So you don't want the team to start tilting because of a random Deadeye. Now, I don't think he is going to do it, but you know, all chat, it's not the place you want to be if you want to look, you know, mentally stable during these games.
I mean, all chat, it's definitely one of those things where the players have done a great benefit by the stream blocking out the all chat. However, again, we are not bound by those rules. We can translate everything that you say. We can, we will.
See if you're just throwing players under the bus in all chat. But, you know,
under the payload, as it were, yes.
Yeah.
Just like the Deadeye threw them under the payload, quite literally.
Why not? This is our way of leaking, CP.
Yeah, well, okay. Exactly. Exactly. If Michael's going to leak everything in the Overwatch community, we can do our part by leaking what Phase 2 says in global chat. Vengeance.
Vengeance, okay.
We don't have a bigger point here, but we are going to be going to Ilios next.
Time to build yourself a persona on Reddit known as the chat log leaker, CP. Yikes.
Yeah, let's go. It is truly the next generation of... I don't know.
Let's go into the next map, shall we? Let's go into the next map.
Oh, well, we're back in. It's Ilios. we're opening up here on the lighthouse where, I don't know if the lighthouse is super functional in the middle of day and bright sunlight, but I gotta imagine that it'd be cool at night. Wait, why do we not have nighttime lighthouse? That would actually be neat.
I actually like a lot of the Halloween maps in the game. Honestly, like Halloween, or no, wait. I just got it confused with Winter King's Row. Winter King's Row is like by far my favorite map in the game because just of all the snow, not biased, of course. Granted, I'm from Sweden. I mean, you're from Minnesota, CP.
Yeah, guy from Sweden likes snow. Also, I like snow and I like that map, so it's fine. We're products of our environment.
It's the same in World of Warcraft, I love the snowy zones, it's like winter, spring, and Dunmorog, that's what I'm all about. I'm all about the snow, so, Blizzard, more snow maps.
Yeah, also, I mean, Alterac Valley, I ran that. I ran
I
ran an Honor Cartel where I was able to get Grand Marshal simply by running the only Alterac Valley group on the server. And the Horde could not run counter groups. So we just won every game by running 12 mages with AoE on the point. It was the most scumbag thing I've ever done. And let me tell you, I've been a scumbag in video games before when it comes to tactics. Ask Hex. He'll give you the full breakdown. Please don't ask Hex. I need
time for Deco to put his Grand Marshal's Claymore to good use in this Ghost versus Ghost composition. As we're seeing out on both sides, this is going to be a brawl.
Oh, they're going straight in. Decod slamming Zarya against the wall. Zarya's still very much in it, but Toronto getting the better of this here so far. Duplicate's going to fall in when you lose your Rhine in these setups. Well, it gets pretty bad from there on out. Decod already with an Earth Shatter. Call it a normal ability because it might as well be here as Toronto takes the initiative here on Ilios.
And so I understand what Phase 2 are trying to do here. They want to walk to the point early to get the early cap. But then, when Toronto Esports are running Ghosts of their own, you're sort of stuck in a small room on the point, and Decod just has all opportunity in the world to get a good charge off and a good initiation, and they do just that and manage to get away with the fight.
Decod gonna hold back here. Earth Shatter at the ready. Duplicate nowhere close because frankly he got bopped early in the fight. And Decod gets nada. Throws the Shatter right into the shield. And yet Asking still finds Wob. He goes, you know what, I'm gonna go deeper. We're gonna pretend that the Shatter hit everyone. Or at least we're gonna play like it. And hey, they get 2 pickoffs. Who's the judge?
The judge.
You can judge. You played a little bit around in your time.
Well, I love how Toronto Esports are recognizing that they didn't get a ton of value from the Earth Shatter, and so they double down and they just go all in, trying to win that fight, not leaving any room for this Phase 2 squad. They managed to win another fight back on the hand of not a lot of ultimate usage. So now you have a Graviton Surge, you have a Nano Boost, and still Phase 2, they're going to have a drop. Oh, he gets eaten!
Yeah, the Graviton got in, the grab's nowhere. Duplicate says, I'm a fan of this, moves on in, Nano Boost, swinging the hammer. And oh man, the Earth Shadow's ready, but when you're feeling so good, you don't even have to pound the ground. Phase 2 just walks on in, and they'll be able to save Shatter and grab for the next fight. Or, hang on, fight's not over yet, let's not be preemptive. Drops it just for a Zarya, just we want to be sure. Gets stunned! Zarya doesn't care, the barrier comes back in, and crack it explodes! Toronto somehow brings this back.
Oh, that's a yikes. You think you're about to win a fight, and you even save the Graviton Surge, but still, Toronto Esports, they claw back into it, and it's just very impressive all around this team. They're playing around their limits so well, not dying, and now we're just Phase 2. They have to scramble at this point. They have to get back to the point real quick.
They got to touch it. They do get overtime progress. Sinker nowhere near anyone. Graviton from downtown! Met by another Graviton, it's actually not going to matter. But hey, I appreciate the gumption of dropping a Graviton from halfway across the map.
It felt like time was going in slow motion throughout that Graviton toss.
It's like the Austin Powers steamroller scene. No!
But Asking just plays it safe and just drops it on his feet on the point and gets a lot more value. So, efforts were for naught.
You know what? I'm a fan. However, Phase 2 might not be as much of a fan because they're 1 round away from going down a map in this best of 5 series. And now we look towards the next stage here. It's going to be the Well, and it's going to be up close and personal. And no, I don't believe you Asking. No. I don't believe you're going to go in the Hammond.
I'm going to take a bet and say that we're going to see Mirror, McCree, Brigitte come. So, I think Asking, surely not going to play this Hammond. There we go. So they're going to take a bit of a brawl in this small choke point besides the point, and then just trying to see which team can find the earlier picks. It all is very vulnerable composition, and so everything matters in this one. Can you get the right discords and the right McCree headshots? That's going to make all the difference.
You gotta empower your McCree, you gotta support your McCree, and more importantly, if you are the McCree, you gotta land the shots. And asking, shot first, Sinker, put down. And now, as a result, you gotta see Toronto taking the edge here, asking if plenty of room to work with, laying in the damage duplicate, nowhere to go, and Toronto easily finishes off the fight.
Yeah, so like I said, this is one of the most vulnerable compositions in the game, I'd like to say, where every hero matters so much that even the slightest pick makes all the difference. You get a pick onto the McCree, you pretty much remove all the damage. You get a pick onto the Brigitte, you lose a lot of sustain. And so it comes down to the very small differences here. Can you get a good Winston bubble and block out a lot of damage? It's going to be hard to see, but everything in this mirror composition matters for both teams.
Asking, holding back right now, 99%. Have a Deadeye up in moment. Where again, normally Deadeye not the most impactful ultimates. There is no payload to shoot under here, but hey, this might be the land of miracles right now for McCree, so I'm just gonna sit here and bear witness. Asking, rotating around, Toronto doing the dozy do right now. Back and forth we go, all the way around, going, can't catch me. Deadeye from the flank, asking, completely denied by Diva. Sinker takes him down on the other side. It's a Deadeye from Sinker. He's had one good Deadeye here so far, looking for more, and not gonna get anything, but hey, zoned him out. And meanwhile, Decod, though, got Kevin, and still fine for LNL.
Yeah, and Decod is just popping off as well, recognizing that Winston doesn't necessarily have to play with their team this fight. They're better off flanking by their lonesome and trying to find some good opportunities to drop down on the enemy team, and Decod does just that. Very aware of what he has to do in this composition. Decod impressing so far, not only with his positioning, but also with his primal rage skills, and he's going to have a lot of impact going into this next fight.
Yeah, I mean, the scary thing for the next fight here, too, is that there's such a support alt edge here for Toronto that they could just barrier transcend their way to victory. You need to get some sort of early pickoff here from phase 2. And again, you take a look at LNL. LNL is just more than willing. You just rotate around going, we don't have to take this fight right now. Totally fine. Bear, though, gonna come out here from phase 2. They take the initiative. Dino, though, answers with the transcend. They are down 1, so it's not quite as powerful as they would like. Meanwhile, you look towards Swimmers. You gotta drop the beat under pressure. Waiting. They took down more, and so far the defense doesn't feel they need to use it. Now they're going to use it way later in the fight. Moving on in. Met by a rally, but Sinker is down. Dino is able to find the pickoff, and this is looking very good for LNL here so far, but hey, arrows out of the fight.
Yeah, it is looking very good for them, and both McCree's out of the fight,
no!
so it's all about sustain, and gets booped!
Ooh, Crackalakin falling right into the pit, but it's still a long way to go for phase 2. They have to be perfect from here on out.
Yeah, they have to be perfect from here on out. They're going to have the Transcendence coming up, and so I want to see phase 2 pushing very aggressively into the side of Toronto Esports, using that Transcendence offensively. You're not really waiting for any other ultimate, and so that's going to be the big ultimate, the big factor in this very deciding fight.
Sinker holding on to the Deadeye. No fear in the face of everyone jumping in. It maybe should have Decod get a punch him right in the mouth. Everyone has a plan until that happens, I suppose. Decod, Primal Rage, looking for the bounce. Oh, Brigitte slam dunked into the pit as Asking gets the finisher. Decod diving on over. Swimmer booping a little bit more. And Toronto Esports going to bring this right back over. Overtime ticking down, and Toronto can be up 2-1 here in the series.
And they're just a bit more crisp, just a bit more disciplined, and that makes all the difference. It's just very good positioning in that final fight as well. We see phase 2 not really holding the chokes. They decide to back off, and that just gives Asking on the McCree so much more room in that final fight, and he certainly got those picks required to secure Ilios. Well, Kraken Lakin, he certainly did a lot of work on this Diva.
I said LNL at some point through the cast, so I
So
will
did
just
I.
say, yeah, I don't know if I misled you or you misled me in the middle of it. We're just gonna take the collective L on there, no pun intended, as far as that goes. Look, guys, it's been like, this is set number 6 of the day. For those who don't remember the old days of online casting, our brains got fried by the end.
Yep.
I mean, we generally kept things like pretty on the level, but there's some weird stuff that happens. Let me just tell you. I think we kept our clothes on for the most part, but look, man, you sign up for 7 hours of straight casting, no breaks, no rotations. stuff gets weird.
Yeah, it does get weird. And also, things are getting so mixed up these days during the off season between contenders and Overwatch League because, Decod, he used to be a member of LNL, and that's why you sort of start to mix him up because he was such a uh,
Oh
founding
yeah, that
member of a famous LNL squad. And then I mixed up Soms and Red Sea before as well because Soms is known for his Zarya. So, not the most. I'm not the most polished caster, but yes, 6 hours into this cast, I can recognize that it's a very brain-frying job, CP. I do feel for you.
yes. Yeah, I mean, you just turn on the heat a little bit higher, get the brain nice and smooth by the very end, and yeah, who knows what you're saying? At some point, you have lost all your marbles, but we still got more to go here. In Toronto, they might be up 2-1 here in the series, but Phase Two, never know if they're going to evolve into Phase Three as they look to head into Hollywood.
Well, that's a bad thing. You explained the name earlier, and you said that Phase 1 was trialing for academy teams. And so
Yes.
obviously Phase 3 is worse than Phase 2. And so, by your logic of reasoning, Phase 1 should be an upgrade.
Look, I don't. I'm not much of a mathematician. I think the reality is we need to head to Phase 423 is
Hell
the
yeah.
true way we're going here. 23. I have no real reason for this number, but hey, why not?
Sounds good to
Why
me. The higher
not?
the number, the better.
Yeah, I mean, God only knows. Jonak back in the day got through Phase 725. That's how much he went through. That's how you got beat the OWL MVP. But as we sit here losing our minds, next map is going to be Hollywood. And it's an interesting choice. I mean, Phase 2, there have been elements here where they've played things like the GOATS composition super well relative to others. Hollywood not quite as conducive to it, but presumably they have some form of plan.
Yeah, perhaps they have some form of plan. Hopefully, we've seen a lot of Hollywood, so maybe it's just one of those maps where most teams feel comfortable and well practiced on. Knowing how scrims work, if there's a map that a lot of teams are running, could be Hollywood in this day and age, then it's something you naturally get a lot more practice on, and thus you feel a lot more comfortable on. And so maybe it's just the go-to map as it is right now.
Yep. And also, I mean, it is interesting to see how preferences change. Where I remember back in the day where there were periods where teams would go, you know what, we're going to do nothing but Kings Row. And then
Yeah.
they'd go the other way and be like, we're going to do nothing but Hollywood. And it didn't really feel like there was any rhyme or reason beyond scrim meta be weird, where teams are saying, we really like this map. Suddenly, oh, that team likes this map. We like this map. And, round and round you go. But we're heading into Hollywood. It's bright. It's sunny. It's much cheerier than the UK. Probably has better food as well, and we'll see just
Brendan
what...
Sideshow would definitely agree to that. Given that
Dude,
they have
I corrupted
experience
Brad.
in Hollywood and in the UK.
No, I just need to be honest here. I remember corrupting Brett when he came to Colorado for Contender Season 1, and the first thing I did to Brett is like, Brett, we need to show you the magnificence of U.S. fast food, and I gave him an almost crack cocaine-like addiction to Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A sauce was his new drug of choice, to the point that Bren
made his own.
Yes, he made what he called Bren filet sauce. That is how much of an addiction he had, where he's just like, just shoot it into my veins. But yeah,
it's actually just honey mustard.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, they have some magic in there, but Bren cannot be denied. He had to make his own because occasional trips to the place were not enough.
It is a blessing and a curse that there is no Chick-fil-A close to our apartment complex that we live in. Otherwise, Bren would be a bit of a demon feasting on Chick-fil-A every day, except Sundays.
Yeah, Sunday he would just be outside in a tent waiting for Monday.
He'd probably just grill some ribeyes, because that's all he can do in terms of cooking.
Yeah, just go to the Puckett's place and be the Puckett, making me some steaks. I'd be like, yeah, dude. Puckett loves grilling. Fun fact.
He does. He also loves Orisa comps. I don't know if he actually does, but it is what we're seeing on the map right now with Phase 2 setting up their infamous Soldier, Junkrat, and Senjala defense.
I mean, it is a defense that is banking a lot on the Orisa's shield, the Soldier in the back to land the damage. And look, Soldier, the old flavor is back to being the new flavor here in Hollywood, where he was out of it for a while, but teams very willing to bring the old new back again. It's like fashion cycles, but now with an old man Super Soldier.
Yeah, and it is better for shutting down this anti-Orisa Pharah as well, so dealing a lot of damage to Nero. And it's just a question of who can get their ultimates up quicker here. Both teams playing their limits very well, no one going down so far, and maybe we can see an Anonymous coming up for either team very soon.
Well, for now, Duplicate's been holding his ground, but Moore gets picked off, Asking able to thread the needle with that arrow, setting up the 6-on-5, set up the offense. Though a little bit weakened, putting screws to the defense, and Arrow got right inside, blows up the cafe, and that is going to be enough for Toronto to get this payload moving, and it's a pretty quick time to boot, only about a minute 15 to fully evict the defense from the point.
Yeah, it is a pretty quick time, and we've seen multiple attempts at this Hanzo and Pharah composition so far today, and that was one of the cleaner engages, we have to say. Now, I'm not so sure you want to stay on this composition where Phase 2 are opting for a double sniper composition and Nero is staying on this Pharah. But for now, we're seeing that the defense gets actually a pick onto Asking.
Look at Nero. Nero is just... Oh, okay. He was looking for the ambush and just gets completely destroyed. I like the idea. Execution, not quite entirely there. Toronto, though, still able to get a few pickoffs. Defense isn't in a great position to really dive in on this anymore. Decod's going to fall. And Toronto, even down Decod, you take a look. They're getting the payload progress they need here as Crackalacken gets a setup.
But Asking is up on the high ground. Ooh, they do get an important pick on Dino, though. That's going to be huge. Whoop! Just pop it off on the Hanzo.
Arrow, arrow, arrow. Get back to spawn. Phase 2. Back in the driver's seat once more. Long way to defend, though. 4 minutes. No, no. Wub getting chased down by Crackalacken. Baby Diva versus Hanzo. Barely able to live that. Oh, that would have been... That would have been embarrassing.
Yeah,
Real
it
bad.
would have been. But I like how they're playing this comp. Sinker, another headshot onto Asking, and that's what you need from your Widowmaker. But Wub just offering so much damage onto the opponent tanks. Decon and Crackalacken having a very rough time playing around the Storm Arrows. And so that just makes it harder to shut down Sinker on the Widowmaker sequentially. And so Toronto Esports struggling for a bit on the offense, we have to say.
Yeah, I mean, the double sniper setup here coming in from Phase 2 has been surprisingly resilient here on second point. Wub gonna hold down a little bit bottom. Could have gotten the Sombra, not quite. Dive coming on in. He's gonna back up a little bit, drop the dragon in a range where it can't be eaten. And again, it's something you have to respect. Even if it's a game pickoffs, it buys space. Wub turning the corner, almost gets Wub. Duplicate going in even deeper, and Crackalacken opens it up. The self-destruct finally giving Toronto what they need.
And that's so hard as well to get big self-destruct kills on this point B, especially when you're this spread out. But it looks like a great fight for Toronto Esports, and they're just going to clean up at this point. And now, you're in an even better position on the offense. You're going to set up Asking on the Widowmaker on the high ground. Yeah, he is actually going deep, trying to find some few picks before he goes back to safety.
Walls, and of course Diva's gonna come in to help that because no Widow wants to do walls. We know walls. It's a pretty bad idea. Infrasight up, Asking over the top, gonna miss. Had an opportunity at both Ana and Hanzo. Looks back to Lucio, going over to the right. Toronto keeping the payload moving over forward, and Sinker pull takes down Asking as he was in the middle of the air. Man advantage. Now the Phase 2. Wub, more arrows coming in. Hacked gets Sombra with the soft little touch, and that's enough for Phase 2 to hold.
That's enough for them to hold, as you said. And Nero using the EMP, they probably would have liked it back for the next upcoming fight, and you have to give some credit for Phase 2 clawing themselves back on the point B, Duplicate engaging onto Asking and then getting a sound barrier online. But there is going to be a rough defense here as they don't have a lot to work with.
Well, they were hoping on the Infrasight would give Sinker the ability to find one pickoff, but he hasn't done here just yet. Had a chance at Lucio, does again, but Nero gets plunked again by Wub. Wub was able to find him. That's going to put the next EMP way behind schedule. Duplicate, though, going to fall. Wub out of it, and Phase 2 down to the final 4. Sinker not in the best position for a pickoff. Going to have to back out, and this is going to be real hard for Phase 2 to recontest.
Kevin is not going to be able to contest this payload for long. They need to buy some vital seconds for respawns. But that's going to give all the positioning in the world for Toronto.
1 meter away. Dragon coming to make a little bit of room, and it somehow caught Dino. Dino didn't see the Dragon coming. Sinker, though, punished by Asking in the Widow v Widow battle. Asking now all the room to work with. Decon makes even more for him, and that is gonna be Toronto getting right back in to point B.
Yeah, just keep setting up Asking, and he's going to provide you with headshots. That's what we've seen from him so far in European contenders, and now he's bringing it to North America, we have to say, with Decod setting him up, and now we're seeing the goats. The goats come.
Bring on the goats. Hide your tin cans. Toronto Esports just gonna roll right on over. It's a nice nade coming in from Dino. Makes Duplicate purple, stops the healing, and stops him from doing anything. An absolute domination in from Toronto, and they're well on their way to finishing out Hollywood.
Yeah, so phase 2, they're playing the Zenyatta. They want a bit more passive style here, buy some time. But Dino is just not going to let them on this on, and Decode capitalizes, uses Earth Shatter in the spawn. Well, that just happened.
All right. Well, he was doing it to keep the supports out, but both teams going to feel the beat, music being shared all the while, and uh-oh, this could come back to haunt Decod here, phase 2. Not only taking down Decod, but Sinker charged up. Plenty of damage being laid in the offense of Toronto, getting thrown back, and this is why maybe, just maybe, you don't want to Earth Shatter some supports in their spawn, because this can come back to haunt you.
Can definitely come back to haunt you, but you're still going to have the Graviton Surge for the next fight, and Dino can get a huge Biotic Grenade that can be useful, but it is still phase 2 with the ultimate advantage, having that Graviton Surge and the Transcendent.
Well, they drop the Grav here, Sinker, hoping for a little bit of fall through. Brigitte and Reinhardt, though, hold up the shields. No one gonna fall. The Graviton on deaf ears. Moore says, I got you. Brings the Transcendence out. Phase 2, still healthy, but now there's no Transcendence, and there is a Grav. Grav out here from the offense, Asking, gives his life for it, but still might be enough. Self-destruct coming on in. Decod able to shield it. Offense turning up the heat. Decod low. Healed back up by Dino. Discord Orb. He's crushing everything in life, but he's not crushing the heals. He's getting from the back. Toronto now moving forward. Charge moving in. Decod. Lots of space being made, keeping more back. And Toronto just needs a little bit more with 24 seconds remaining. But Sinker, the Grav turns it back the other way.
And this is the last fight. 20 seconds remaining. And Toronto Esports, they have to back up. They have to wait for Decod. And they're going to be desperate trying to contest this payload once again to try to trigger overtime. They are going to have a self-destruct up, but can Moore bring that Transcendence online, and Insomniac coming on the sound barrier. This is looking really good for phase 2.
Phase 2 on the verge. Oh, Sinker's blown up. Sinker out of it right away. Crackalackets, we still have time here. Duplicate gonna fall. Toronto moving on in. Not done yet. Every pickoff going their way. Crackalack can get demeched. He's still in here. Emergency Doomfist out from Sinker. Dive on in. Punch someone. Hope for anything, but no. Melted on down in Toronto. They're out of time, but they still finish out the map.
It is a fight that I do think that phase 2 should have won. You know, you had double support ultimate online for the final engagement, but instead Sinker gets picked by the self-destruct before the sound barrier comes out, and then Moore doesn't really heal anyone at all with the Transcendent. So it's pretty poor discipline from the phase 2 team in this final fight, but it is over time. You know, you get a bit desperate perhaps, trying to do things a bit more rushed than usual, and that triggers mistakes and forces mistakes that Toronto Esports certainly capitalized on, and they end up capping point C.
Well, the interesting thing here is that, of course, phase 2 fighting for their lives in the upper bracket. They do have that victory condition that's always out there when you run out the clock at the very end, where if they could just get to the very end with a minute and 1 second left, they would basically have a very high chance of taking the map for free. The problem is that Hollywood finishing with that amount of time is actually quite difficult. You do have to just crush a team pretty hard to make that happen, and I don't know if they have it in them to do it.
No, not yet, especially not with the team synergy clicking so far yet, of course. I've mentioned it several times throughout the broadcast that these teams, they haven't had the most practice time together, and so they are a bit rusty, you have to say. They still have a long way to go to reach peak potential, and that is certainly showing at some points throughout the broadcast. But it's interesting to see how these teams are, you know, showing these initial tournaments when they haven't really practiced that much together. Can they bring the potential up to speed and really solidify themselves in the top of contenders North American team.
We'll just have to see. Phase 2 for their approach here. They're going to be going for the ultimate. Let's break an Orisa shield. You know, to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs. To get point A, you got to crack a few Orisa shields is the logic being used here. And Asking just drills Wub early on. But because they're running the Mercy, they get a second chance at it. They're keeping the Orisa under pressure. Wub, Rockets almost getting Asking, barely able to turn back into a bit of cover, but the offense is pretty wounded here, and the defense is doing a great job of buying space.
Yeah, we talk a lot about how the offensive team has the advantage in trying to win these Orisa fights, and that's one way to do it. Well,
okay. Sinker just says, I'm going to take down everyone here. Is that okay with you guys? Great. I hope it is. Phase 2, easily getting in.
You know how caster cursing is a real thing? Well, it's not a thing if they interrupt you mid-argument. So thank you for that, Sinker. I was about to say that the defense was good, but instead, Sinker just in time gets the picks.
Sinker's just like, no. I don't think you're worthy enough to cast a curse yet. Let me just own the defense before you can finish your fight. It's fine.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of things that tend to own, we have a Riptire heading back the other way, and it's going real deep, and Moore goes, really? I was in my spawn. Come on.
Yeah, killing someone in the spawn, better than not killing them at all. You have to say, so value or not, it is greater than getting no one.
Yeah, it's hard to go somewhere. Might as well be the Zen 2 feet from the spawn. Toronto, though, they've been able to reset up here quite well.
They have, and they're playing this Hammond once again on decon. He loves this hero, and it actually makes a lot of space for Asking, pulling out the nano-visor, and now we're really contesting phase 2 in their spawn, making it difficult to get out. And this is such a hard position to be in if you are phase 2 and you're trying to get out of spawn, but you're just simply denied at every opportunity.
No one told Toronto at some point, is like, oh, you can't actually retake point A. It's like, but we want to try.
Yeah.
We really, please, we really want the cafe back. But the pressure they're putting on here between the Junkrat and the Soldier, it is so much damage. It's hard to heal through. It's keeping the offense back. It's highly aggressive.
Another tire.
So lucky to get away. The tire coming on in from Narrow. And with Wub down, this is highly aggressive, but I love it.
I mean, it's rare that you see a Junkrat working out in ground battle compositions, but I mean, Nero definitely showing us why he's known to be such a good DPS player. And so far, phase 2 are still struggling, opting for that Doomfist Sombra composition instead, but they need to get some room to really dive in the first place.
Toronto going to back up a bit, but again, they have another Visor at the ready. Nano Boost almost set up. Moore says, you know what, I might be able to get you here. Visor though up. Who needs a Nano Boost? Asking just comes over the top, takes down 2. And hey, Moore died, so he couldn't really administer the Nano Boost anyways.
And this is so well played by Toronto Esports. They're just never giving an opportunity to phase 2 to engage with this Doomfist and Sombra comps. Asking keeps going aggressive with the Soldier, then you have the Riptires decode on the Hammond. This is very impressive. This is high level Overwatch right here. Always going on the aggressive and never letting your enemy team do something.
Really exciting to see Soldier back in the meta doing this amount of work. Asking just playing it so well right now. Doomfist gets chunked. The Helix rocket right to the face off the nano boosted Soldier. That's one way to say, and they say, as D.Va chunked in the back. The new age of Soldier is on us, and this is fun to watch.
This is very fun to watch indeed, but I do think that if you're phase 2 right now, you need to take a step back. You need to slow down the pace of the game and get your head back into the game, certainly, and make some good decisions. I doubt that this Doomfist and Sombra composition is going to work out if you carry on. Maybe want to swap up.
Full swap.
Well, when in doubt,
okay.
Go Goats.
It doesn't matter that it's point B Hollywood, although it did work earlier today. They did have success with this earlier today, but man, it's gonna be hard versus the Soldier. Soundbear coming
and a
in.
Hammond as well. I mean, the huge pile drives could build so much ultimate, and
Okay.
here we go, minefield already.
Ooh, Asking just lands the mid-air Helix on the knocked up Lucio. Oh man, the Goats, this is not their barn. I'll tell you that.
Definitely not their barn. And I'm gonna be honest, a minute 30 remaining. I'm having a tough time seeing phase 2 getting back into this game because the way really that Toronto Esports are putting pressure onto them with the Junkrat that has another tire up, and then the Hammond as well, Decode doing so much work. I'm having a really tough time seeing Phase 2 getting away and winning this Hollywood map.
It doesn't seem super likely. This has been so incredibly brutal. All right, self-destruct coming up. Kevin got Nero, but by the way, didn't get Asking. Asking just crunches Kevin, punishes him for the self-destruct attempt. Nero gonna be brought back up from the dead, and it's getting close to Halloween time to make a few zombies. Asking though, taken down. That one not gonna be res, so it's more up to Nero here. Junkrat in Hollywood hasn't always been the greatest of situations, but moving on forward, does have the double concussive, and it's just buying time for Asking to get back as only 40 seconds remain.
They're just dealing so much damage, right? And they're building ultimates eventually. It is going to be a huge graviton on the side of Phase 2, though, and they start to clean up.
But Asking's back. Asking punishes Kevin again. Every time Asking goes to blow things up, Asking right there to punish. Tac visor up, and Asking you have to run the gauntlet here. Reinhardt inside, and they deal with the demon. They take him down in the corner.
So they have a nano-visor on the side of Toronto Esports, but playing against a Ghost composition, you're going to struggle to get a ton of value. Kevin has the defense matrix, of course, as well as the Moira Coalescence. This is going to be a very tough fight for Toronto Esports. Can they get back into the game?
We'll have to see. Asking, visor up, and you're going to have the Diva going on in, but guess what? Nano boost. Time to up the ante here. Asking, moving in more. Out. Brigida down. No one's looking at Asking. I'm not even sure anyone can. It's a late barrier, but Asking goes, oh, so I just have to go through that as well. It doesn't quite matter. Nero lands the tire, and Toronto, they're going to be holding it off right here, right now. They take the series over Phase 2, 3-1.
And that's honestly so impressive as well. Asking, excuse me, gets into
when you merge Haskell and Asking, it's like a DBZ fusion. You get Hasking. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Earned himself play of the game, but honestly, that was such an impressive Soldier 76 performance. Getting himself some high ground to utilize that nanovisor towards the end, and I mentioned the defense matrix, but it's not going to last long enough to shut down all of that nanovisor, and he finds the picks finally to win this series for Toronto Esports. So very impressive play, and I'm really looking forward to see what this Toronto Esports squad can do moving forward.
Absolutely. And of course, the upper bracket final, it is going to be tomorrow. It's going to be Toronto taking on LNL. So that is going to be super fun to watch. Of course, both teams playing out of their minds here today. And man, I mean, today overall, it's been good Overwatch across the board. It's been great to see shades of the new meta, and also just these new teams come together.
Yeah, well, some Overwatch, we've been on a bit of a hiatus and not seen a lot of Overwatch apart from the World Cup. So any kind of competitive Overwatch is good enough for me, CP.
Absolutely. A good little refresher before BlizzCon comes in and hits you hard. But guys, that is going to be wrapping it up for us here today. But we do have some replays to go before we sign off.
And we did see a lot of goats starting out on Legia and Night Market, of course. Overall, this series, we talked a lot about how good Toronto Esports are and what we expect from them. But Phase 2, they showed with Coach Michael that they certainly have it in them to grow as a team and perhaps make a run for contenders.
Coach Michael, of course, this is the grand rope-a-dope. Maybe they just didn't want to win this game. The goal is lure everyone to a
I'm not buying that. No.
Come on.
Nah.
No, you're not going to go down this well of insanity where, look, I don't believe the things I'm saying, but I enjoy the narrative.
Nah,
you're going to ruin...
I like to stick true to my word, CP. Not making up excuses like that.
You will never be a top-tier scumbag with philosophies like that.
And
but...
thank God for that. That's what sweets are all about.
Good, wholesome representation. But, guys, before we sign off, I forgot the most important thing, and production has reminded me, is that we need to sell out. We could not run this tournament without the support of our sponsors that make the prize pool and everything else within possible. And who are those sponsors again? We're going to take a look. Of course, we got Cooler Master. They make a whole bunch of PC peripherals, but more importantly, they keep your PC at the right temperatures. Of course, it's something that they're known
Keep them
for.
cold.
Fans.
That's what it's all about. Cold PCs, Cooler Master. Wow.
Exactly. You got Twitch where, they sponsor everything. And of course, you're watching it on Twitch right now. So keep watching Twitch. Also, this channel tomorrow. Don't forget, We're doing Overwatch all weekend long. You got Sennheiser for in case you need headphones. Just treat yourself to some great audio fidelity. You got Plexter. You got Soylent, where I think probably our favorite to sell out for, just because look, it's great, it's nutritious, and the commercials are awesome. And don't forget, if you're getting Sennheiser to treat your ears, treat your eyes as well, your eyeballs, ViewSonic. Lots of great monitor products to be had there. So lots of sponsors here, guys, of course, making tier 2 happen. And thanks to Blizzard, of course, for helping us set all this up, finding us the right time to set up the tournament. And there's a lot of things that go together to make these tournaments happen. And thank you finally to the players and, of course, the fans for tuning in.
Thank you
guys
to
so much.
everyone, CP. Everyone played part. Amazing job.
Everyone. Exactly. Now let's sing Kumbaya and wait till tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow with more Overwatch heading your way. Elimination games, upper bracket finals, and more. And Johnny, you won't be here tomorrow, but we will see you back on Sunday. So don't miss him too much because he will be back with a vengeance.
Oh, I am back to do more casting. I might not bring the historical references like Mitch Leslie, but I will at least bring you some Overwatch knowledge. So thank God for that, and I'll see you Sunday.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next time. See you soon.